Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Future. I'm Andy,
I'm Jason.
and we're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So this week, Matt had a prior engagement, so
I'm back.
it's back to old times.
That's right.
We didn't kill him off. Jason is still here.
Exit stage left, Matt. I got it this week.
Yeah, this week, just like how we did it for years before, get back into the swing of that. But if you didn't know, this is our show where we go over some of the biggest and best books that you can pre-order. Pre-orders are due Sunday by 9. Of the best books coming out that we want to make sure that you don't miss out on, because there's so many good stuff that it's really easy to miss over some stuff or not really know what some of the stuff is about. So that is our job, to inform you of all of this great stuff. So before we begin, I just want to remind you, you can head over to infinityflux.net right now, where you can either follow along with us, pre-order all your stuff. Everything that you pre-order, you get 10% off of. You can subscribe to series, variant covers, all that good stuff over at infinityflux.net. So without further ado, let's get into this week. And I'm kicking it off this week in the featured comic segment with Batman and Robin #1. So the dynamic duo is back together in Batman and Robin #1. This is by Joshua Williamson and Simone DeMeo. And this is really exciting because Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne have not been together for a pretty long time now, being kind of partners again. They've been
Yeah.
on opposite sides.
A lot of things have separated them and put them at odds for a while.
Yes. But it hasn't been since like the old series that we've seen them working together. So father and son and Batman and Robin are back together, this time on the streets facing some of their most monstrous villains. That means they're going to be going up against characters like Man-Bat, Killer Croc, Orca, some of the more like monster uh, bulking characters. We'll have to find out why those are all playing a big part in this story. But it does also say that there is a villain lurking in the shadows that has some kind of agenda with Batman and Robin. So I'm very excited about this. This cover art is by Simone DeMeo. So this is what the interiors look like. And yeah, a new Batman and Robin book, but I think this is a very welcome Batman and Robin book, having them back together. So there is quite a few covers for this. This is actually a wraparound cover, but this is our A cover. We also have our Artgerm variant. It looks like White Rabbit, I believe, is also playing a part in this. We have this KAEL New variant and a blank sketch cover to draw your favorite version of Batman and Robin.
All right, next up from Marvel is a series that, they really got me on this one.
Yeah.
It is Predator. Already you got me with Predator. I love Predator stuff, always have. But versus Wolverine. How cool is that? So this is going to be a 4-issue miniseries from writer Benjamin Percy with art by Greg Land. So this is going to tell the story of what do predators do best? They hunt things. They want the most difficult challenge. Well, this predator might have bit off more than he could chew, because he goes after not just Wolverine, but it's Weapon X Wolverine in the Canadian tundra. And the battle goes on so long and so hard, eventually it's going to spill over into Madripoor. So that's what's going on in Predator versus Wolverine, the new 4-issue miniseries that I'm sure you, like I, are probably going to pre-order some of. We got a lot of cool covers for this. So, of course, our main cover. This is the McKone Predator homage variant, of that famous Hulk cover. Here is, same homage, but this is the Wolverine version of it, also by McKone. So a lot of people are going to want those side by side, see how those look. This is a Peach Momoko variant. Here's the Skottie Young variant, of course. And here we have the Steven Segovia variant. And lastly, the Steve McNiven variant. It's funny, all these variants look like they're predicting Wolverine's going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he survives because, Weapon X was a while ago. Also, there's been at least one Predator that was beaten by Danny Glover.
So
Kind of figure Wolverine can handle himself, but it's going to be how it goes down in the story.
yeah,
And the Predator's going to have all the technology. Weapon X doesn't quite have like, he's still messed up in the
yeah.
mind, So I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
I like the idea they were on the Predator ship and they all are choosing targets, and this Predator's like, "There's a little guy. I'm gonna take on that little guy. He seems like not much of a match."
That short man with the claws.
Okay, next up we have a new Star Wars miniseries. I had to look far and wide to find out, but this is a 4-issue miniseries. It's always hard with Marvel books to find out how many issues they're going to be. But this is a Dark Droids tie-in with Star Wars Dark Droids D Squad. So this is really cool. R2, as this scourge virus is spreading throughout all the droids in the Star Wars universe, R2 puts together a team of droids made of some of the most famous droids in the galaxy that are going to fight against this virus that's attacking them. You're getting some of the coolest characters in this, including Chopper from Rebels, who has not made too many appearances in comics. Is going to be on this as well. Plus, this is going to have a backup story in each issue called the Book of Ajax. Ajax is the character we got introduced into in the Star Wars Revelations issue, and he has started a church of sentient droids. And we're going to find out how we went from the character we saw in the Revelations issue. We saw him briefly in the Han Solo and Chewbacca miniseries to this Dark Droids miniseries. It's going to kind of piece all of those together. So we find out the bigger story of Ajax. So very excited for this one, plus some great covers. So this is our A cover. We have the CASANOVAS droid connecting variant, the John Tyler Christopher action figure variant, and we have the Tom Riley R2 variant.
I like how, R2, he is just such the central hero on all these covers. You know what I mean? It's like where you would
Yeah,
typically have a non-droid, like a human looking cool. No, it's just him. And
yeah,
he is that cool. He deserves it.
yeah. And if you look at, I think all the Star Wars movies, he does something central to the heroes winning in the end.
He's a hero. He
Yeah,
is
yeah,
definitely a hero. Okay, so next up, Creepshow has a new #1 out. So this is going to be the second volume of Creepshow, and that Creepshow works well in that way.
yeah.
It's an anthology style comic. It doesn't have to go on and on to high numbers. This is the Creepshow that is sort of related to the Shudder show, though. Shudder revived
Yeah.
Creepshow. A lot of good ones. I've watched some of that. Greg Nicotero directs and show runs that. So this new Creepshow #1, let's look at the names on it. We got Garth Ennis writing a story. Talk about somebody who could just off the cuff come up with something to creep you out or mess with your head. That's going to be illustrated by Becky Cloonan. And then we have Phil Hester, who is writing and drawing his own story. So again, this is our main cover for new Creepshow #1. Then we have this Becky Cloonan variant. Yeah, very messed up. And I have to say, like, they don't say a lot about what the stories are going to be. They're more like, here are the people doing it. But I read the names and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah, and it's good too. Like you hadn't have read the had to you didn't have to read the first series to read this one
Yeah,
because every issue is a standalone, like the
it's going to have
episodes.
2 stories per issue is what
Yeah.
it's going to be. So volume 2 is going to be 5 issues, 2 stories per issue. If you love messed up, creepy horror, here you
Right,
go.
it is the era of the anthology horror. That people are just loving that with everything. Ice Cream Man and Haha, and feel like those kicked off this new generation of that. Okay, next up we have a new miniseries set during the Fall of X storyline called Uncanny Spider-Man. But note that is not Peter Parker. That is Nightcrawler. Kurt Wagner is the new Uncanny Spider-Man. So after the Hellfire Gala, a lot of really terrible things went down, and the mutants are scattered throughout the world or even on Mars, and they're being persecuted again. So they've each kind of figured out how are we going to handle this situation. Some are rebelling, some are hiding, and for Nightcrawler, he's like, I'm gonna go be a new hero. So he dons the Spider-Man suit and becomes a new Spider-Man in New York, where he is, enjoying saving civilians and doing all the fun Spider-Man stuff, swinging, I guess, vamping throughout the city. But how long can he kind of ignore the plight of the mutants that is going on, and when is he going to get pulled back into that? So this is another one that's hard to find, but this is going to be a 5-issue miniseries by Cy Spurrier and art by Lee Garbett. So really cool, great costume
Yeah, great
design.
outfit. Yep.
Very excited to see what happens in this
Form
series.
fitting right to the toes and maybe even the tail.
How do you get your tail in a suit like that?
Bamf into it.
He throws it up and then immediately pops into it. So that was our A cover. We also have our Dave Watcher window shades variant where he's in the midst of bamfing. We have the Lee Garbett variant, so that's going to be your interior artist, and of course a Skottie Young variant.
I mean, surely Spider-Man's going to show up in this run and be
Just be
like,
like,
"What are you doing?"
they're kind of friends too, so
Yeah, yeah.
it'll be in good spirits.
Okay, so next up is this is an interesting indie series. It's going to be a 5-issue miniseries, as so many things are these days. It is called Hexagon Bridge. What a strange title, but let me explain. So it follows these two travelers, and they have a clairvoyant daughter and a robot companion. So right off the bat, you got an interesting little family team here. Well, they end up in a parallel universe. It seems like maybe they're explorers,
Yeah,
but they end up in this parallel universe where pretty much the landscapes are elusive and shifting. So I'm thinking MC Escher.
yeah,
Who I've had MC Escher art hanging on my wall since I was a kid. That's what I'm thinking. If it seems like Richard Blake might have been inspired by that and been like, what if some people go to a world like that?
yeah,
And since he is the writer and the artist, I figure he's giving himself sort of a challenge of what he can draw. I wish I could see more of the interiors to say more, but that is what Hexagon Bridge #1 is supposed to be about. And just the A cover on
yeah.
that.
Just the one cover. Almost feels like something like maybe the Fantastic Four would take on or something, going to
Mm.
one of these weird other worlds. Okay, next up we have a new Bloodborne miniseries. These are always very, very popular. Tons of fans for Bloodborne, the game. But this is Bloodborne Bleak Dominion. This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries by Cullen Bunn. And the A covers are done by Deladera from Something's Killing the Children fame. So perfect fit for that. But in this one, it's about two hunters in Yarnum, the city where they have a protege that goes missing, and they're going to have to delve the dark streets and the Chalice dungeon to find their lost protege. So sounds really cool. Cullen Bunn always delivers with these. And we've got some great covers for this as well. So this is our A cover, like I said, by Deladera. We have this Alan Qua variant. We have this Abigail Joel Harding, who was just here a
Yes,
few weeks ago signing for Ask for Mercy. So
that's a
very
great cover
cool.
too.
Yeah, very good cover. We have a Yoshioka variant, very creepy. And we have a Not variant.
All right, so next up, it is Rare Flavors. Now, perhaps you've heard this before because there was the Rare Flavors ash can,
Yeah.
which, unlike most ash cans where it's just one per store, it's just for us retailers, they allowed people to order that,
Yeah.
which I wish more things would do. Like, here's a little preview of the thing that you can get for hardly anything. So, some of you may have read the preview already. Anyhow, this is from Ram V and Felipe Andrade, and it follows a Rakshasa, which is sort of from Indian mythology. I know of it from my playing of D&D over the years. Sort of a magical cat creature, humanoid cat creature. And this Rakshasa, I think it's a demonic Rakshasa, they say. It also is very much into cooking. It wants to be sort of the new Anthony Bourdain, but of its world. And so this ends up being sort of a mix of Indian cuisine and adventures in sort of Indian mythology,
Hmm.
which is neat. I know so much about Western mythology. It's so cool to get different
Yeah.
kinds of mythologies in these books. So that is what Rare Flavors issue #1 is all about. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. Here is our main cover. And here is our variant by Moon, which it says on my sheet here, foil. So
Yeah,
I think
so I
this is
think
going to be a foil
variant.
variant. I wonder what the foil will be because I would assume the title and then maybe the yellows.
Yeah, something like that.
Huh.
Okay, next up we have other number ones. These are just more number ones, and maybe you'll be just as into these as the others. So, starting off, we have a new What If Dark. This is What If Dark Carnage. But this is really interesting. So, in this version, this is going to be written by Larry Hama, which is great, and the art is by John McCree. And it's What If Cortland Cassidy bonded with the Carnage symbiote. Now, if you don't know who that is an ancestor
Right.
of Cletus who has died and is buried under Ravencroft
Mm.
Institute. Well, what if the Carnage symbiote resurrected him and embodied him, and there were two Carnages, Cletus and Cortland, out on the streets? I feel like it'd be very dangerous for a little while, and then those two would have some squabble, and they're gonna be at each other's throats. So if you've been enjoying the What If Dark series, I think this sounds like a great one, especially with Larry Hama behind it. So this is our A cover, and then we have our Nick Bradshaw homage variant.
All right, next up from Marvel, it is Strange Academy Moon Knight. This is going to be a 3-issue crossover series. Strange Academy's been sort of crossing over
Yeah.
with different Marvel characters, and this is the Moon Knight one. Furthermore, there's going to be a new villain in this issue called the Equation. I assume he's going to be daring people to try to solve him, something like that. So this is our main cover for that. And then there is a variant. There's a Humberto Ramos variant for issue number 1 of Strange Academy Moon Knight.
Hopefully he says like your face plus my fist
Right,
equals
yeah, I
pain.
want a bunch of math
Yeah.
puns and yeah.
Next up, we have a new. This is fun. This is Darkwing Duck Negaduck. So just it's almost like how Gargoyles now has Gargoyles Dark Ages. This is Darkwing Duck Negaduck, focusing on the villain, the antithesis of Darkwing Duck. And this sounds really fun. So this is by Jeff Parker and Ciro Cangelosi. And in this, Negaduck is the ultimate mastermind, but he's ready to take the city by storm until he realizes all the other villains in the city have been stealing all his ideas. Every time he's about to do something, he sees someone else did that. He doesn't know how they're stealing his ideas, but basically the city too crowded, and he's going to go on the road with his ideas. So if you have been enjoying the Darkwing Duck series, I'm sure this is going to be just as fun with Darkwing Duck Negaduck. And we have some variants. So this is our A cover. Then we have our J. Lee variant and our Forrester variant.
This could have been under the Disney Villains moniker.
Oh, could. Yeah, a crossover with the Disney villains as
Yeah.
well.
All right, so next up is another indie series from Scout. It is Fungi. That's how I think it might be said.
Yeah.
Not a lot I know on this one, but I mean, you get so much from the cover. I
Yeah.
mean, it's obviously Mushroom Warriors.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
pretty
Mushroom
cool.
Samurai
Pretty
world.
stylish. So, and for those of you who cook out there, when you cut a mushroom, they slice very nicely, very clean slices. There won't be any blood or anything, just those little bit of mushroom leftovers. So this is from writer artist J.M. Ringjuet. So that's about all I know on this one. It's a 4-issue miniseries. I know that. Here's our main cover by the artist I named, and here is the variant. It's one of those Scouts books where it's all done by the same guy. But I mean, he had a clear vision
Yeah.
of the sort of people he wanted to do. And I think that means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Mushroom people. Okay, next up we have our next installment in the Contest of Chaos story. This is Contest of Chaos X-Men, and this, of course, is pitting Captain Marvel against Cyclops, which feels a little one-sided.
I know. I'm glad to be here for this one because I joked about this one way when they announced it. I was like, they have all these good, one-on-ones, but Cyclops versus Captain Marvel.
That's equal as maybe their leadership abilities, but other than that,
I think Cyclops might be the better leader personally. I'm a little old school, but still Optic Black versus she fly through space and is invulnerable
and can absorb energy. So
yeah.
it looks like it's not going to be much of a challenge. But why did Agatha team these two up to fight each other? What is her ultimate goal with her new Darkhold that she is assembling? We'll have to find out in Contest of Chaos X-Men #1. which is also X-Men Annual #1. So this is our A cover. Then we have our Larry Houston X-Men 60th anniversary variant.
Okay, so here's a new book from Dark Horse that I'll for sure be reading. It is Subgenre #1. And the reason I'll be reading it, I read everything Matt Kent does.
Yep.
He just has such a great imagination. Not everything he's done has like gelled with me, but like such a high percentage, I always have to check it out. So let me tell you what this is about. If I was still producing the show, I might have featured this one. It would have been on the cusp. This is about a guy who is living at least two lives. Okay. I just love saying a sentence like that. In one, he's a detective in sort of a cyberpunk future. And in another, he wakes up and he's a barbarian in some land full of magic and swords and such. I mean, that's awesome. But the question is he one of these two people for real and the other one he's getting shifted to? Or is he a third person, you can kind of see on the
Yeah.
cover, who may be having some psychotic breakdown? I tried to find out how many issues this was. I could not. I'm good at doing that too. Couldn't figure it out. I read things where it's like new series, and they usually don't say that without saying mini
Yeah.
series. But Dark Horse doesn't really do a lot of ongoing series, especially ones like this. So I'm gonna call right here. It's probably 5 issues.
That's a
Um,
safe bet.
yeah, and the artist is Wilfredo Torres. Looking forward to seeing how this one is. So here's our main cover by the interior artist Torres, and here is the subcover by Hurt with two T's.
It's pretty cool too, with this mohawk and stuff on that. It's
I read the elevator pitch. I'm like, yeah, you got me again. Like this sounds really cool.
Matt Kent is a just a well of
Yeah,
ideas.
for sure.
Okay, next up we have a new two-issue miniseries, about as many of a series as you can get and still call yourself that, Vikings. So this is by Rodolfo Semtulo, and the art is by Jock, but not that Jock. This is the Jock that was doing In Hell We Fight, and all that with very interesting style. And in this, I mean, I feel like it explains itself, but a small Viking village is ready for their warriors to return, bringing jewels and all that they have pillaged. Only they bring back kind of the seed of their own destruction. Now, the small group of survivors has to stop the spread of this zombie outbreak. Uh, there was a while that we had so many zombie books, but now I don't feel like we have as many. So now it's like, oh, a new zombie book.
Some room to breathe if you have
Yes.
a zombie idea that might actually be original.
Yes. So it sounds really interesting and just kind of a classic zombie outbreak set in an interesting time. So this is our A cover for that. And we also have a Peralta variant.
All right, next up from publisher Massive, it is the Blackout Bombshell. And I think the cover is awesome in the way that like you're either gonna really like that
Yeah.
or you're not, and that's what covers should do. They should call to the right
Mhm.
person. And yeah, this is set in 1967, and it's about a private investigator, and it's supposed to be in the vein, they claim it's in the vein of Philip Marlowe meets Hunter S. Thompson. So I guess like psychedelic noir detective.
Mhm.
It's just going to be a 3 issue miniseries. This main cover is done by the interior artist, and there's a variant that, or actually, no, I don't think it is done by the interior artist. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
it is the Vaughn cover. Vaughn also did this variant right here, and then the last cover is done by Ward.
Very interesting. Seems like a very trippy book.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have notable twos and threes. So these are books that the #1s have come out, and we want to remind you, hey, you might want to sign up for that series if you enjoyed it. Plus, just giving you a little bit more information on these new series. So starting off, we have Dark X-Men #2. I just read Dark X-Men #1 on our early preview show, and I really like this. Some of the best recent X stories I think came out this week with this and Uncanny Avengers. So in this one, it is we saw in the first issue that their first rescue mission, the Dark X-Men, did not go super well and ended in bloodshed. Who knew that a team of Dark X-Men would end up in a violent end? But in this one, they learned that the Fallen that happened in the first may be coming back to seek revenge. I don't know if it's zombies or how they're brought back. There's some major deaths in the first, but this may explain how they bring them back. So if you enjoyed that first issue, definitely subscribe to the series because the series is 5 issues long. So this is our A cover. Then we have our Lee variant.
It's a lot of midriff.
This is a lot. A very narrow cold front coming through. And then we have the Salvador LaRocca variant.
All right, next up it is Alpha Flight #2. This issue is going to have the former members of Alpha Flight going up against Department H and a bunch of Sentinels. In fact, it says it has like a new villain called the Box of Sentinels. So I'm sure it's just multiple Sentinels again.
Yeah, I think Matt mentioned on his show that they have like the new Canadian Sentinels are like human sized, and so they can like they don't burst your house down. They can like come through the door, and
I like it's a power they made them smaller. Like usually powers are get bigger, but
like, those are really inconvenient.
Bite-sized Sentinels. That's what we'll call them. So here's our main cover for that. Here is the Panosian Homage variant. And then we have the Balderi variant.
And next up, like I mentioned, we have Uncanny Avengers #2. So issue #1 of this was really cool with Captain America putting together this team to kind of rebel against this anti-mutant group. And in this one, the new team that was formed is going to face off against Captain Krakoa and his new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. We still don't know who Captain Krakoa is in this, but I'm very interested to find out. And it says, and this is just a weird sentence, but it said a new romance will have readers frothing at the mouth. And I don't want to read the book and suddenly go and start
Get catch a rabies.
get rabies all of a sudden. So who knows what that means? But check it out in an Uncanny Avengers #2. This is our A cover. We have our Brian Hitch Avengers 60th anniversary cover. We have our Greg Land variant with Psylocke, who's very cool in issue 1. And we have our Javier Guerin Marvel Icon variant.
The phrase frosting at the mouth, it's like even marketers need an editor from time to time. It'll have them frothing at the mouth. It's like back up just a little bit there.
Over prompts.
Okay, so this is the Peach Momoko variant for Guardians of the Galaxy #6. And her variant features Howard the Duck. This issue, however, is going to finally do the origin of Grootfall, the thing that sort of launched the book. Like, how did it happen? What happened to create Grootfall? So that's what's going on in that issue of Guardians.
Maybe Howard the Duck will poke his bill in.
But I doubt it.
But I doubt it. Okay, next up is issue #2 of The Call. So I didn't get a chance to read this one yet. Matt read it, but I got a lot from what he was saying about it. It's really cool because it's like almost like a Spielberg mixed with the movie like Super 8 about kids who go to this kind of beach rock cave that they're going to make a movie, and that is where some of the horror and intrigue begins. And in this one, it does promise sentient mushrooms. So maybe it's a crossover with the fungi book where that's
and Poison Ivy.
Yeah, that's true.
Cross them all over.
So if you enjoyed issue 1 of The Cult, don't forget to add it to your pull list with issue #2. This is our A cover. And then we have our Tula Lote variant as well.
All right, this is the main cover for Fish Flies #2, the surrealist horror comic from Jeff Lemire. If you read issue #1, even before issue #1, you probably knew what to expect out of Lemire, just more of him doing what he's good at. So here is the main cover, and then we have a Kelly Jones variant.
Cool. Very creepy. Okay, next up we have Green Lantern #3. Like we mentioned on our last show, this is also here to remind you that by this point, Night Terrors is over. It had ended the previous week, and so now it's time to do your pre-orders for the ongoing series.
Right.
They're back with Green Lantern #3, so don't miss out. Maybe you were skipping Night Terrors, you're going to take a little break. Don't miss this. You're back into the main swing of things. And this one sounds really cool as how Jordan further investigates the mystery of his ring that kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't supposed to have a ring, and one just manifested on his hand. Plus, he learns that he is quarantined on Earth with Sinestro, his greatest enemy. So what's going to happen with that, we're going to have to see. But this is our A cover. We have our Doc Shaner variant. We have our Rose Besh variant. And this one's really cool. This is our Pablo Villalobos Hispanic Heritage Month variant with Kyle Rayner.
He's straight cheesing it on that
Yes.
cover. So this is the main cover to World's Finest Teen Titans #3, and in this, the Teen Titans are gonna crash TitanCon, which is going on in Metropolis. It's got to be great to be a writer and artist who have gone to so many
It's going to be so
conventions
accurate.
and then do a book where your characters go to a convention. So that's what's going on in this issue #3. This is our main cover, and then we have a Doc Shaner variant for this one as well.
I think it's very funny that they have to crash a con that's built around them. Were they not invited? Was that not you wouldn't think you think maybe like, oh, they're too expensive to get show up at our con. It's just a fan con or something. Okay, next up we have cool covers. These are really cool covers we want to make sure you don't miss out on. So we are going to start with Wildcats #11. This is our Lyrics Lee variant. And this one, it does say that there is a betrayal and a fall. So very cool in here. And we also have the Rose Besh variant for it as well.
All right, here's the Dave Johnson variant for Amazing Spider-Man #34. This is going to be the penultimate chapter of Peter's first hunt. His Craven's first hunt, where Peter is hunting people for some reason.
For some reason, we'll find out. And next up, we have Star Wars Bounty Hunters issue #38. This is our Clone Wars 15th anniversary variant. Very cool with Cad Bane on here. And in this one, it says Grievous attacks. Even though in this time frame, Grievous is dead. So, what role does the now dead android General Grievous play in this whole Dark Droids story? So that is our Cad Bane variant. And then we also wanted to mention the Star Wars Hyperspace Stories #9 of 12 is coming out. This is a Carrie Nord variant, another Cad Bane issue where Quinlan Voss makes his return to comics up against Cad Bane. So don't miss that one as well. And next up, we have other printings and graphic novels. These are reprintings of really popular issues and some collected editions that we think you'll really like.
All right, starting with Gotham by Gaslight, the deluxe edition. So this is just going to be $19.99. This is a brand new 2023 edition of this very well-known Elseworld story. It's Batman, but he's in Victorian England. It's got some great art by people that you would expect doing this sort of story, like Mike Mignola,
Yep.
who was just born to do that sort of tale of mixing Batman and Victorian England. So if you've never had it before, this is a good chance to get it. If you got some old edition you've loaned out too many times, starting to fall apart, get the 2023 edition.
Yeah. Nothing better than Batman versus Jack the Ripper. And next up, we have JLA, JSA, Virtue and Vice. Now, this is really cool. This is by David S. Goyer and Jeff Johns. And it's a reprint, but also in the remembrance of the late Carlos Pacheco that just died not too long ago, with art by Jesus Marino as well. And it's where the two teams have to team up to investigate a mystery that takes them all the way to the Rock of Eternity. But also, if you haven't read much JSA, they're getting a lot more play recently. Check this one out for a classic JLA JSA tale.
All right, releasing from Dark Horse is Ask for Mercy Volume 2. This is written by Chattanooga's very own Richard Starkings, who's a personal friend, and he's might have been in the shop earlier. He's in here all the time with Abigail Harding, who Andy mentioned had done a signing here just lately. This story art, it is awesome. I mean, just look at the cover.
Yeah.
It is just sort of a horror book where the monster hunters are also monsters themselves. They're the only ones who can take down even bigger, badder monsters. So I urge you, if you've not read this yet or given it a chance, definitely go out. Volume 1, you can is still available many places, but Volume 2 is now available for pre-order.
And we've got Local Man Volume 1. So this is Local Man Heartland, is the title of it. And this is by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks. This is a great story about kind of a 90s era superhero of the extreme variety. But now it's modern day, and he kind of comes crawling back home, uh, defeated and without purpose, and that's when the bodies start piling up in that town. It's going to pull him back into being a hero. So if you haven't read this, this is great, especially if you are a fan of the classic '90s image boom of comics. It just feels uh, very familiar. So this is also only $16.99 for this volume one. And also, I want to mention this is I Am Stan, a graphic novel that is $22.99 by Tom Scioli. I always try to have to remember how to pronounce his name. Tom Scioli. And this was a free comic book day book, like a
Correct. A
sample of
sampler.
it
Yep.
that people loved, telling the biography of Stan Lee in his native comic form. So there is this one as well. You don't want to miss out on. And there is a Jack Kirby one as well, telling the story of Jack the King Kirby, uh, one of the most prolific illustrators in comics. Most people, if they're drawing superhero comics, have a lot of dues to pay
Yep.
to Jack Kirby.
Okay, so next up, it is Batman #1. This is a facsimile from the 1940, premiere issue of
Yeah,
Batman's own comic. He's not just a character from Detective Comics anymore. It is his own thing.
I think this character is really going to take off. I have good feelings about him.
Yeah, they release a lot of facsimiles, but there are certain ones where it's like, every collector who loves a character, it's like, you got to have
Yeah.
this around. You got to read it. You got to see where it all began. So here it comes. There's also some variants for it, though. They are, well, I should mention there's a foil variant
Yeah,
for
it
it,
looks like this before.
which they never give us a picture of a foil variant.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, okay? But the foils always sell way better, and stores always run out of them. So if you're even halfway thinking about it, I would go ahead and put your order in for the
Yeah.
foil variant. It usually costs $1 or $2 more. There's also going to be a blank variant.
Where'd they go?
I know Andy was laughing at this one a lot. Like they just vanished. You said it was like Back to the Future picture
Yeah, they
where
slowly
it
fade
just faded
out.
out of time. But still, you can get your favorite artist to draw them on, or draw you with them, or
Or
draw.
like classic Spider-Man where he's in the cover of Amazing Fantasy on a Batman.
Yeah, something like that. So, and I think what is it? It's maybe $1 more than
Yeah.
the other one.
Okay, and that is it for Comics from the Future. I just want to remind you that pre-orders are open now. You can head over to infinityflux.net. If you don't have an account, you can set up a pull box. It is free. Everything that you pull, you get 10% off of. Just a great deal if you don't have a local comic book shop that you frequent or you need a new one. We'd love to be that shop for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. We are still slowly moving up in the numbers. I'm not sure if we passed 2,500
We
yet.
have
Okay.
we hit 2,500 subscribers with our
Yes.
last video.
Awesome.
A great milestone. So let's keep it going. Next stop 3K.
Yes. So help us get there. Subscribe today. And yeah, don't forget pre-orders are due in by 9 o'clock on Sunday. Plus, join us on Monday for our early comic preview video. We'll be going over some of the biggest books coming out next week that you don't want to miss. So until then, thank you so much for watching, and bye.